Go.
All right, gamers, how do you increase confidence and get into momentum? I'll be back in 10 seconds with the answer, so stick around. Okay, welcome gamers to training day 30 of our first season together inside of the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play. Can you believe we've been together for 30 days already? This is a time to celebrate, so let's celebrate. All right, my name is Chris White. I am the game master. By now, you know that my role in the game here is to disrupt your thinking. Why do I want to do that? Because I am passionate, I'm committed, I am all in when it comes to empowering you to live outside your phone booth. Why? So that you can share your extraordinary with the world. Now, what the heck does living outside your phone booth have to do with anything? Well, just ask yourself the question, what would have happened had this guy, Superman, never gotten out of the phone booth? I mean, what would have happened? Exactly. Nothing would have happened. And that's why living outside your phone booth every day is priority number one. So gamers, if you're ready, then I'm ready. Game on. All right, gamers, so the question today is, how do you increase confidence and get your business into momentum? Well, the first thing we have to do when we ask ourselves this question, and we've got to laser focus in on fundamentals. You know, if you study the greatest companies of all time, you just look at Apple, for example, everything always moves back to simplicity. Okay, so we want to focus back on the fundamentals to start. Now, let me give you a definition of what a fundamental is, just so we are on the same page here. And my definition is that a fundamental is a primary rule or a principle on which something is based. A primary rule or principle on which something is based. Now, the greatest coaches of all time are famous for focusing on fundamentals. For example, I think of John Wooden, the great UCLA basketball coach, who during his first practice every year would teach his players how to properly put on their shoes and socks. I mean, can you imagine? You are one of the top premier basketball players in the country, especially if you're going to UCLA and playing under Coach Wooden. You've been playing for a decade or more at this point. You've been putting your shoes on for much longer than that. And here you are at the first day of practice. You're excited to be part of the UCLA Bruins basketball dynasty. And on the first day, Coach Wooden sits you down and he's teaching you how to properly put on your shoes and your socks. Think about that. You know, Bill Walton, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, he played for Coach Wooden. He said that the initial lesson, this initial lesson in practice, it laid the foundation for everything that we would need to know for the rest of our lives. This is what Bill Walton said about this ritual of learning how to put on your socks and shoes. Now, why did they do this? You know, Coach Wooden stressed the importance of paying attention to the details. He emphasized that, you know, not putting your sock on correctly, that it would create wrinkles. And wrinkles would lead to blisters, which would lead to not being able to play the game. You know, Coach Wooden stressed that shoes that came untied would cost playing time. If the blister occurred or the shoe came untied during a crucial part of practice or in a game, it could cost the team from winning. And Coach Wooden knew that if his best players aren't playing because of blisters or untied shoes, he could lose his job, right? So everything went back to the fundamentals. Another example would be Coach Nick Saban, the great Alabama football coach, who is known for placing relentless focus not on being successful. He's known for placing relentless focus on preparing consistently. This is a fundamental in Nick Saban's coaching regimen. It's empowering his players with the idea that preparing consistently and then consistently giving your best effort at core daily priorities is how you get to success. Okay, so how do we translate this to becoming an extraordinary entrepreneur? Well, first, we must focus on fundamentals that are going to empower consistent improvement. Consistent improvement. Very key takeaway of the training today. Okay, now what this means is that following in the footsteps of the greatest coaches of all time, we're going to want to align our thinking and our day to key priorities and to key benchmarks. How often have you sat down to think about key priorities and benchmarks that you're going to focus on in your day? Okay, how do you do this? Well, you got to ask yourself, if I do these things today and tomorrow and every day thereafter for the next 90 days, what will the impact be? Will the impact be what I want it to be? Let me say that again. This is a good question to put into your playbook and to evaluate on a daily basis when you're planning your day. The question is, if I do these things today and tomorrow and every day thereafter for the next 90 days, what will the impact be? You know, John Maxwell once said that you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. And so the one daily fundamental that changes everything is planning your next day. You know, Dr. Jason Selk and Tom Bartow, they call this organizing tomorrow today. In fact, Selk and Bartow point out in their book, Organizing Tomorrow Today, that one of the most underrated skills of highly successful people is prioritization. It's prioritization. It's understanding that it's not about being busy. How often do you get caught in the mental trap of being busy? Like you feel like, you're just being busy. And you're like fooling yourself. It's not about being busy. It's about being productive. It's not about getting the most things done, but about getting the right things done consistently. Okay, you know, Stephen Covey described in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, as avoiding the noise of the urgent, which creates the illusion of the important. Okay, you want to avoid the noise of the urgent. That's what gets you into this rhythm of just being busy, because it's going to create the illusion of the important. But then you get to the end of your day and you realize, man, I was just busy all day. Okay, so here's the bottom line. If you want to be successful, you got to prioritize tomorrow's work today, and you got to do it consistently. Okay, so let me give you some tips for doing this at an extraordinary level. Tip number 1, I want to encourage you to schedule 5 minutes every day to plan tomorrow's top 3 impact tasks. Okay, now these aren't full-blown projects. These are just your top 3 impact tasks that are going to help move you closer to the goals that you have. And then I want you to plan when you're going to do them in your day tomorrow. Okay, now, why do we focus on 3? It's because of a phenomenon called channel capacity. Okay, this is a phenomenon of the human brain. This has been studied by a guy by the name of Dr. Miller. It's often called Miller's Law. And when you think of channel capacity, I want you to think of the hard drive on your computer. Okay, what happens when you have too many programs running on the hard drive of your computer? You know, the hard drive starts to bog down, right? The computer starts to bog down. What happens? The power is being drained from the computer. All of its power is being drained to try to overcome everything that you're trying to run on the computer. Now, if the computer was a human being, the computer would probably say, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed, right? Why is this happening? It's called channel capacity. Okay, so channel capacity is the reality that as human beings, we can really only focus on 3 things at a time and do them effectively. Okay? So this is why we want to plan for tomorrow our top 3 impact tasks. Okay, then I want you to choose your 1 non-negotiable task of the 3 that must get done. Okay, so for me, when I do this, my 1 non-negotiable task, I start at 4:30 in the morning. I get up from 4:30 to 9. My 1 non-negotiable task is creating training like this message, for example, was created between 4:30 and 6 a.m. in the morning. This message we're going through here today. Okay, that's my 1 non-negotiable task. If I don't get that done, then the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play it doesn't happen, which means my business isn't happening, which isn't a good thing, right? So what is your 1 non-negotiable task of the 3 that must get done? Now your goal is to get the 3 done, but that 1 has to get done. Okay, so you want to tackle your most important item first. The most successful people always get their top 3 completed typically by 10 a.m. Okay, it makes sense, right? Because when you wake up in the morning, that's when you got your mental energy, you're sharpest, you're ready to go. So that's something that successful people are very mindful of, and they get out of bed and they attack the day. They are on offense going into the day. Okay, so I want you to think 2 to 3 hours to complete these tasks. To complete your top 3, you're giving yourself 2 to 3 hour time block. Okay, now, very important. My next tip here is don't wait until the evening to plan your day tomorrow. Okay, because you put yourself at risk of having low energy and low willpower. And, when that happens, now you're in a battle in your mind and you risk not completing this fundamental of success, right? We want to have a relentless focus on consistently executing the fundamentals. This is the fundamental of success. If you work a full-time job, I want to encourage you to do this during your lunch break. Go on lunch break, and then when you come back from lunch break, give yourself a 5-minute window right before you start working again, and just plan your day tomorrow. Okay? Next tip, stimulate your reticular activating system, your RAS, your reticular activating system, by writing your priorities down rather than typing them on a keyboard. My friend, this is why we use the playbook. Okay? This is why we use the playbook, because researchers Pam Mueller and Dan Oppenheimer from Princeton University and UCLA, they've discovered that students had better conceptual understanding and retention when they wrote their notes versus typing them out. So there's a lot of power when you're taking your thoughts from your brain, transferring them through your arm, through a writing utensil, and putting them into your playbook. There's a lot of proven power for doing that. If your goal is to become an extraordinary performer in your business, which I know that it is, right? Now, why does this happen? What's the research say about why this is so powerful? It's because the physical act of writing is going to stimulate your reticular activating system. And if you're not familiar with your reticular activating system, what you need to understand is that your RAS is responsible for filtering information into the instant access and deep storage folders in your mind. So just imagine you got these folders in your mind, just like a computer, on a hard drive has its folders. You've got the same thing going on in your mind, and you've got folders for instant access and then for deep storage. Okay, so you're stimulating your reticular activating system, which is responsible for filtering information into those folders. Okay, it's very, very powerful, and most people are not taking advantage of this benefit that they have right there at their fingertips. Okay. Now, why is it critical you make this a fundamental in your day? It's because choosing not to tackle your most important items is going to create stress and tension, right? It's going to lead you to feeling like you're falling behind even though you're super busy, right? If you don't plan your day, which most people don't, they get up and then they just jump into their day. They're always in a hurry, tend to be anxious and get overwhelmed very easily. And then they get into this method of operation throughout the day where they're just busy. They get this to-do list out, and they start writing all these to-dos, and they just start going down one by one. And typically they're choosing the easy ones. I can get that one done fast, that one done fast. It's like they're playing this game with themselves to see how much they can get done, right? Because they're just busy. But then what happens? We've all been there, right? You get to the end of your day and you're exhausted and you're kind of feeling like I was busy and productive today. But then when you stop to think about it, you're like, how could I have been so busy but feel like I'm still so far behind? It's because you're not honoring, you're not stewarding this fundamental of success that we're talking about. Okay. I want you to understand that small day-to-day victories, they are the building blocks of the super successful. And that's really what exercising this fundamental, what honoring this fundamental in your day is going to do for you. It's going to help you create those small day-to-day victories, which are going to serve as the building blocks for your success. Okay. Being prepared is also going to increase your confidence. Think about it. When you go to bed at night prepared, you know what's happening the next day. You're going to get out of bed and you're going to be confident because you know what you're jumping into. It's going to reduce your worry. Now, what's that going to do? This is going to free up your subconscious mind to use its power while you sleep. This is called the Zeigarnik Effect. The Zeigarnik Effect. Okay, you are actually creating, when you do this, when you plan your tomorrow today, you are creating what's called task-specific tension in your mind. Okay, now what this is doing is it's creating an open loop. It's opening up this loop in your mind, in both your conscious and your subconscious. Okay, now this loop is going to stay open until completion, right? And what we know is that our mind does not like to be in tension. The subconscious mind and the conscious mind don't like to be in tension with each other. And so they're going to work hard to close that loop. And so if you plan your day the night before, when you go to bed, your subconscious mind will start going to work to close that loop, to solve the challenges that you've addressed that you'll be facing the next day through the plan that you set up, okay? Now, most people aren't taking advantage of invoking the power of their subconscious mind while they sleep. And because they're not doing that, when they're getting up in the morning, they're not getting up in confidence. They're not getting up, attacking the day. They're not getting up going on offense. They're getting up on defense, thinking, what do I got to do today? That doesn't put you in a state of confidence. And when you're not in a state of confidence, everything just is downhill from there, okay? Failing to execute this fundamental during your day, it's going to erode your mental toughness. Okay, that's one of my last thoughts here is when you are not executing this fundamental, you are literally eroding your mental toughness. And when you think about it, it makes sense. You get up in the morning, you don't have your day planned, you're scrambling, you're into busy mode, you're probably overwhelmed, you're facing anxiety. You are eroding your mental toughness. You are not able to play the game at extraordinary levels when you're not going into the day planned and prepared. Okay. Now, when you do, when you honor and you store this fundamental the way we're talking about, what you're doing is you're building daily momentum into your business. And when you get momentum going, gamers, in your business, it is game over, right? There's very few forces that are more powerful, that are more in your favor in your business than momentum. When you get momentum going, you want to keep that momentum machine turning, okay? And this is one of the best ways to turn on that momentum machine and to get it going for you big time inside your business. So here's the takeaway. Here's the takeaway for you. The marketplace doesn't reward busyness. It rewards productivity. So if you want to start tomorrow on offense, you know what to do, gamers. Plan today. Here's your action step. I want you to take 5 minutes today to schedule your 3 most important impact tasks for tomorrow. And do the one non-negotiable task first. I want you to plan this out in your day. I want you to schedule it out in your day for tomorrow. Okay? Turn this into a game. This is what I do. Turn it into a game by making it a goal to do this for the next 90 days as a way to really lock this fundamental into your DNA. All right? On that note, my gamers, I hope you got value from this training today. Hey, make sure to leave your comments below, like the video, and then share this video with somebody who you know is ready to get in the game, somebody who you know could get value from this training and who is ready to live their life at extraordinary levels. And that's all I got today, my friends. Hey, go out there and be extraordinary in your thinking, and I will see you tomorrow here inside of the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play it. Until then, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Extraordinary Game of Entrepreneurship and how to play it. And remember, gamers, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So get out of your phone booth and go share your extraordinary with the world.